Folks. This is Bill Giese here from Famous Financial. I'm here with my colleague, Doug Famous CFP. We do a lot of work in retirement planning. That's the bulk of what our businesses, our practice is all about. And we service pharma, biotech, med device professionals. That's where our focus is. And what we've seen over the years is, well, first off, in this industry, unlike a lot of other industries, there are a lot of pensions. A lot of people have pensions. And what we've seen is these pensions haven't really received the attention that they really deserve by their owners or by even the financial advisors that service them. And what ends up happening is decisions are made or not made that leave a lot of money on the table. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over to Doug, and he's going to talk more about this in a way this is really going to benefit you from a money in a pocket perspective. So I'm going to turn this over to Doug, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, well, thanks, Bill, and welcome everyone. We're happy that you found this likely out of your own interest and for the pension that you have at work. Look, pensions are a super strategic asset and a wonderful asset to even have at this day and age. Bill might have alluded to it just now. Years ago, pensions were very common. They're not now, but nonetheless, you have one. So for that, you're in really pole position to have something that many people would love to have. But what do you do? Now, there's some of you that are listening that have a lump and an income annuity option. So what we're going to look at today is for those of you that have a lump, for those of you that don't have a lump, you'll have the annuity only option, both of which are good. But sometimes the first distinction is, do I choose the lump or the income annuity? And then the ones that do have the lump, we're going to talk about strategies and using the lump effectively. And then the ones that have an annuity or maybe just have the annuity. So that's the overview. And let's jump right into something that's important to really have in context up front. And what is that? First of all, retirement planning, when done well, this is very different than just having a portfolio, everyone. But when you have a retirement plan, you have answered the following, or have answers, I should say, to the following risks: inflation risk, sequence of returns risk. We're not going to go into much detail of any of these right now, but I want you to know how important these risks are to be managed in one's retirement plan. We have market risk, which is a bit more intuitive, interest rate risk, longevity risk, health or spending risk in your future, or tax or even policy risk as it's otherwise described. How do we really look at retirement planning as Bill described? What's the most strategic way to do retirement planning? Well, it has to deal with these risks and looking to mitigate them, attenuate them, and work around them to our best so that you have a much smoother, more successful retirement. So a pension fits into that. And it fits in with certainly a variety of those risks to be addressed. Okay, so what determines, we talked about the lump or the income annuity. Those of you that have both, okay, that's certainly a benefit to have the choice. Well, what determines the size of your lump is part of the reason that we would want to make sure that you're aware of this is not only your tenure and your compensation, which would be somewhat obvious, and that you could even start receiving your pension or at least rolling over the lump sum as early as age 55 if you've already left the company. But this last fourth bullet is very important because the interest rate environment, particularly the 30-year bond or GAT rate, has a significant influence on the size of this lump. So it's very important, everyone, to understand that if interest rates are rising as they have in the past year or so, that can really adversely affect the lump. But conversely to that, when we saw the depths of COVID, that 30-year bond rate or GAT rate was very low, and therefore the lump was very high. So we see a bit of a tailoring off of the 30-year bond in the last few months, where it had really like doubled the prior year, year and a half before that. So this is really where your pension lump could be fluctuating quite a bit, especially in the last couple of few years. So very important. That makes a big difference, because I'll give this one important note, is that even though you can get a 3% bump in your age on your lump, the interest rates could have a much more significant impact than even the 3% bump if they are going in the opposite direction, i.e., if they're going higher, your lump can go down more than 3% in a year, even 10% in a year. And that's why we want you to at least understand, where are we now? What's the interest rate environment that we're living in right now? It's kind of higher in the past year and a half. However, where will it be? That's a good question. Okay, so next, we're going to take a look at the considerations of the lump sum. So if you have a lump, and you can think about, well, why would I take the lump, Doug? Well, it does offer flexibility. And that means with a lump, you can really put some of that lump into the market, i.e., you roll the lump into an IRA and it goes into the market. But you might say, well, wait a minute, isn't that risky? And that could be, the answer is yes, it could be risky. Markets tend to have risk. But then there's a hybrid approach, bullet number 2. That's where you can apply some of the funding to the market, but then other funds could go to, in this case, an income annuity, much in the same way that you had an option to use all of your funds for an income annuity. In this case, you have more of a hybrid. Very important that you could potentially take advantage of that in light of your own financial house. That could be very attractive. It could be, we don't know until we understand more about what's going on in your whole situation, whether that would advantage you to put more or less into the market and more or less into the income annuity. Either way, you're taking control over the distribution timing and the distributions of that. Whereas in the income annuity only option, that's a set, and really that control is out of your hands. So taking full control of the lump is a major benefit to the lump, and it's why many that have the lump take advantage of that. Because if, for example, both spouses die, you have heirs that can receive the proceeds. If they die young, you really have protected the asset for your family your legacy planning, if you will. So you also have the opportunity to manage the assets in your own strategic way that fits your plan. So again, that's some of the benefits of the consideration of the lump. Well, let's take a look at the income annuity. The income annuity, very differently than the market. The income annuity is plannable and predictable. The market, of course, is only so predictable. There's no market risk with the income annuity. It can offer longevity risk protection, whereas the market, you know what that really offers is inflationary risk protection. So the long-term market history is one that actually outperforms the inflationary line over the past 100 years or so. So really, that's the benefit of the market. The benefit of the income annuity is that longevity risk protection, where if you really outlive your assets because you're living so long, the income annuity is very protective in that particular area. And actually, these work very well together. Market and income annuity are a very efficient combination. So you have the greater income potential that an income annuity has versus what? Bonds. So bonds are a very interesting retirement planning tool, which last year we kind of found out what many had prognosticated for years is that bonds can really perform very poorly when interest rates start rising, which we've not really experienced in many years. Well, what a difference that made when you had income or bond portfolios down double digits last year. That's a pretty rough road for what is considered to be a so-called safer asset. So it's very important to understand how all the mechanics of these work, how interest rates play a role in your retirement plan, and specifically how an income annuity competes with a bond for long-term income. So you have those types of things to really understand and really to have a better, more strategic and the timeliness of these strategies to understand is really very important. So for example, let's say you may not want to retire really for another decade. Still extremely important to keep this in mind right now, even for an income annuity, understanding of how that works versus a bond over the next decade could be very meaningful for you to understand how differential that can be to the amount of income or money, as Bill described it, you're going to receive for the rest of your life. It is a money thing. So the potential for short-term or shortfall from inflation is to be noted as well. Even though the markets are very good for inflationary risk protection, the income annuity would not be your tool of choice for inflation. But the question, folks, is integrating both income annuity and market. That's really how we can kind of make sure that the whole ingredients of the plan are satisfactory in addressing those risks that we talked about a few slides back. So now, as we go to strategies for those who choose the lump, think about, again, it depends. The question may say, well, I don't know, Doug. I mean, I've got a lump, but how should I really allocate it? Well, that's really where we would encourage you to take advantage of the opportunity, the complimentary review that we're posting on this particular webinar, is for you to kind of get a picture of how that would be strategically placed with your own situation. For example, if you have a lot of stock market already, a very considerable savings that you've had in your 401ks, IRAs over many years, that's very large, if you will, then that's terrific. Maybe there's more stable value or the income annuity ingredient that's missing in your current program, and vice versa. So it really depends on those types of assets at the current as to the best strategy moving forward. So again, market addresses inflationary risk protection, but the income annuity gives you that predictability of income, the planability of that income, and the more efficient income versus a long-term bond strategy. And you've got that more longevity risk protection in that section of your financial house. So when it comes to the annuity only option, you're really looking at, folks, a very big benefit here. I mean, you might say, hey, I don't have a lump, but I do have an income annuity option. Hey, just give yourself a high five. You've got a pension. You're in great shape. We've just talked about what the benefits are of an income annuity: plannable, predictable. And as a retirement planner, can you think about this, folks? If you have an income annuity in your program, Social Security is one. These types of pension income annuities is another. Think about understanding what your bottom line fall out of bed income. I like to share with clients that's kind of like, you fall out of bed and you've got such and such amount of income, per year. That's really fantastic as a complement to all the assets that you might have in risk or in the market. It's a very nice complementary way to live. So it's really, now the question is, how do you maximize the income annuity that you're receiving with your pension? And that's where the strategy comes in. So again, as we go into those of you that just have an income annuity to choose from, you're going to see what is called a survivorship option. That means for your spouse or your loved one that you have as a beneficiary. That's essentially what you're talking about there, is to say, hey, if I die, says the employee with the pension, what happens to my beneficiary? Will they get 100% of that income? Will they get 75, 50, 25? You've seen that in your pension plan probably by now. Well, what do I do about that? What is that anyway? Well, that's what you call insurance. You're paying for insurance with any of those survivorship options. In other words, you're going to get less income for the rest of your life, and you're going to have that much less income, which is the insurance that you're going to have to pay for the rest of your life with those survivorship options. It is what it is. It's an insurance situation. Now, the question is that the most strategic way to really go about this? And may I say to you, if you are insurable, that is, if you're not someone that has something going on with your health that makes you uninsurable, if you are insurable, that makes it a very strategic area of opportunity to make more money. By doing this and choosing bullet number 2 through an outside life insurance strategy, can be more strategic and cost effective. And may I say to you, it's a very compelling situation. So if you address this insurance outside of your pension survivorship option, you will then be able to choose the single life annuity, which you wouldn't do unless you had insurance. Because if you did do that, your spouse will probably disown you or be very upset with you. And obviously they'd have to sign off on it anyway. So the key is about money. Can you, with an outside life insurance plan done well, done by somebody that understands how to build these types of plans, can it make you money? Can it be a much better way to approach your spousal survivorship situation? Absolutely, very much. You want to dig into that. And then the third bullet is very important for this life insurance piece. Don't wait, folks. Don't be waiting till closer into when you have to make that decision to flip the switch on your income annuity. You want to get way ahead of that, folks. Trust me on this. This is a must-have discussion right now. Is the time to really get informed so that you can kind of get in front of that. But as we've talked about with all these, and thank you for this interest of yours and the time that you're spending here, this is money. And to assist you, we have a complimentary pension plan review. Now, folks, this is really an opportunity for you to see within your own financial house, within your own specific situation, how this strategy can really be defined and really help you to, because this is what strategy is all about, everyone, as we know. It's either to save you money or help you to make more money. And that's exactly what these are intended to do. And they've been very well received. So we believe you'll find it very worthwhile. And do take advantage of that by contacting Bill, as you see his email or phone, and get that scheduled. Thanks again for your attention, folks. We hope it was provocative and certainly giving you some things to think about to take advantage of this very valuable asset. You all take care. And again, thank you.